This is so funny because I don't know if you heard this rumor, but there was this rumor going around that Doug Christie was suing Chris Webber for $4.6 million because of the paternity of Jackie Christie and Doug Christie's child. So that was the rumor, that Chris Webber was really the father.
This is crazy to come up at this big age of this child. She's in her 30s.
And so this rumor was so rampant that my girl Keys was at my house and she was like, did you hear that Doug Christie and I was like, wait, I don't know if because anyway, Chris Webber, who normally would not address such a thing, went on social media and said this.
For over 20 years, Chris Webber stayed silent. Rumors swirled, headlines hinted, and whispers followed him everywhere, but he never said a word. Even when fans pointed fingers, even when social media dragged his name through wild speculation, Chris stayed out of the mess. Until now. In one of the most unexpected turns in celebrity courtroom drama, the NBA icon stepped into the spotlight and flipped the entire narrative. This wasn't a small statement or a vague denial. Chris came with hard evidence, DNA tests, hotel records, and handwritten letters. And when he was done, the courtroom wasn't just stunned, it was destroyed. Jackie Christie, known for her fiery presence on Basketball Wives, collapsed under the weight of the truth. Doug Christie, her long-standing husband, walked away from everything. And their daughter Chantel, she was left questioning everything she thought she knew. But the real shock? Chris didn't do this out of anger, he did it out of clarity. For years, people used his name for views, for clicks, for clout, and now, he was done playing quiet. So what did Chris really reveal? Why did it send Jackie into a meltdown in front of a judge? And how did one quiet move from Chris turn into the final chapter of Jackie's empire? Make no mistake, this wasn't just about a family secret. This was about power, truth, and a man who waited decades to take back control of his story. And in doing so, he lit a fuse that exploded in ways no one could have predicted. The rumor started like most celebrity gossip does, quietly, then all at once. Back in the early 2000s, people started noticing something strange. Jackie Christie and her husband Doug had always presented a united front, especially on screen. But whispers came about Jackie's past kept creeping in, and one name came up again and again: Chris Webber. It started with innocent observations. Chantel, Jackie's daughter, bore a striking resemblance to Chris. Photos from old NBA events showed Jackie and Chris together a little too often for some people's comfort. And when Jackie first moved to Los Angeles, she and Chris had reportedly been spotted at private events, walking out of the same hotel lobbies, and even sitting together at closed VIP dinners. It didn't take long for fans to start connecting dots. Jackie brushed off the speculation. She said people were obsessed with tearing down strong families. Doug backed her up, or at least never disagreed publicly. The two kept up appearances, pretending everything was solid behind closed doors. But insiders say the rumors hit Jackie harder than she let on. Behind the scenes, she allegedly warned close friends not to bring up Chris Webber's name. Some sources claim she even distanced herself from old acquaintances who knew about her past with him. The more Jackie avoided it, the more people talked. Chantel, growing up, didn't understand why conversations about her father always felt tense. Family members wouldn't answer her questions directly. Jackie either shut down or got angry. And Doug? He gave off the kind of silence that didn't comfort anyone. It only raised more suspicions. For Chris, this was background noise. He didn't acknowledge it, didn't feed into it. But that silence, it wasn't weakness, it was strategy. And when he finally decided to speak, the entire situation turned on its head.
That's why I'm gonna give this friendly reminder to some of my friends out there that you can't believe everything you read, see, or hear on the internet. Especially when they're all lies. No proof, just made up lies. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to issue my one and only advisory. If you have a platform and you have content with my name attached to lies, take it down now. And to those that started the rumor, that started the lies and then continued to spread the lies, I dare you not to take it down. I dare you to repeat a lie. You're not going to defame my name. Of course the lawyers are in action. Of course the lawyers are in motion and are motivated.
For most people, Chris Webber's silence felt like confirmation. If he wasn't denying the rumors, maybe they were true. Or maybe he just didn't care. But in reality, Chris was watching everything. Every headline, every TikTok conspiracy, every fake voiceover video using his likeness to tell stories he never approved. And one day, he had enough. When Chris finally broke his silence, he didn't ease into it. He posted a direct, unapologetic statement on his verified account, calling out the growing trend of attaching his name to fake drama, imaginary stories, and straight-up lies. Without naming Jackie or Chantel directly, his words were sharp enough to slice through the noise. He warned content creators, bloggers, and gossip pages to take down anything with his name unless they had proof, and fast. Fans immediately connected the dots. They didn't need names. Everyone knew who he was talking about. Jackie's social media went dead silent within hours. Chantel's Instagram, usually lighthearted, posted a black screen with no caption. Doug was nowhere to be found. But Chris wasn't just venting. Sources close to him said he had been preparing this moment for months. He had reportedly met with lawyers, investigators, and even hired a private team to collect everything he would need in court. This wasn't a rant, it was a calculated strike. And the timing? Not random. Insiders claim a new AI-generated video had just gone viral, falsely using Chris's voice to confess paternity. That crossed the line. What was once annoying had become defamatory. Chris wasn't going to let his lies define his legacy anymore. He was ready to set the record straight, and he didn't care who got burned in the process. Next step, the courtroom, and that's where everything unraveled. Chris Webber avoided the drama for nearly 2 decades. He didn't post big tweets. He didn't go on talk shows. He didn't drop subliminal like so many other celebrities caught up in rumors. But that silence wasn't because he had nothing to say. It was because he was picking the perfect moment to say it. So why now? Why did Chris finally choose to speak out after all these years of letting people believe whatever they wanted? According to sources close to him, the final straw wasn't Jackie's past behavior. It was a present-day circus that surrounded his name. In recent months, a wave of AI-generated content had flooded social media. Some of it used manipulated audio to make it sound like Chris himself was confessing to being Chantel's real father. One clip in particular went viral, amassing millions of views before Chris even had a chance to respond. That was when he realized silence wasn't protecting him anymore, it was hurting him. But this wasn't just about AI or gossip. Friends say Chris had grown frustrated with the way Jackie controlled the narrative. Behind closed doors, she allegedly told people Chris was mentally unstable, unreliable, and vindictive. He felt his character had been dragged through the mud while Jackie got to play the composed mother on TV. That resentment had built up over time. And now, with the internet turning his name into a meme and Jackie still refusing to acknowledge the truth, Chris was done waiting. He had collected the paperwork. He had reviewed the legal angles. He was ready. Not just emotionally, but strategically. This wasn't revenge. This was repair. He was reclaiming his name, one receipt at a time. And his first move? A courtroom appearance that would change everything. No one expected Chris Webber to show up. The courtroom buzzed with quiet speculation, but nothing could prepare the room for what was about to happen. Chris didn't come with flash. No reporters, no cameras, no entourage. Just him, a serious look, and a manila envelope tucked under his arm. He walked in slowly, almost like he'd done this in his head 100 times. When a judge called his name, Chris stepped forward without hesitation. Inside that envelope were 3 items, and each one landed like a punch. First, a certified DNA test naming Chris as a 99.7 probable biological father of Chantel. Second, hotel check-in logs, stamped and dated, with both Chris and Jackie's names, around the time Chantel would have been conceived. Third, handwritten letters from Jackie herself. One read, "You'll always be a part of me, even if no one can ever know." Chris didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply let the document speak. Jackie looked frozen. Doug kept his head down. Chantel looked stunned. The judge read silently. No one moved. This wasn't a dramatic courtroom TV scene. It was quiet, heavy, and real. And Chris? He didn't need to say much. Just by showing up, he flipped everything upside down. By the time he stepped away from the stand, the room knew one thing for certain. This wasn't gossip anymore. This was truth, and it hit harder than anyone expected. It didn't take long. The moment Chris Webber stepped out of the courtroom, the internet exploded. Whispers turned into full-blown headlines, leaked courtroom sketches, alleged transcripts, speculation videos. Social media was flooded with clips of users reenacting the drama and breaking down every detail. And the hashtags? #WebberTruth and #JackieExposed were trending by nightfall. But this time, it wasn't just messy gossip. It was real, verified. The DNA test wasn't a theory. It was court-submitted proof. The hotel receipts weren't rumors. They were timestamped records. And the letters? People online were quoting lines from them like they were song lyrics. Chris's calm delivery made it even more powerful. He didn't come off angry or bitter. He came off tired. Tired of being lied about. Tired of being quiet. And fans noticed. Some said Chris had just pulled the most graceful takedown in celebrity history. Others felt torn. Was this justice? Or was it payback? Commentators debated for days. YouTubers posted reaction videos. Some claimed Chris waited too long to come forward. Others said it was his right to speak when he was ready. But no matter the opinion, everyone agreed on one thing. Chris Webber's silence had been deafening, and his words, even fewer, hit like a wrecking ball. Meanwhile, Jackie's silence spoke volumes. Her team didn't release a statement, Doug went dark on social media, and Chantel stayed off the grid completely. But the damage was already done. Chris had spoken, and the internet wasn't going to let it go anytime soon. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want to see more deep dives like this, now's the perfect time to subscribe. I have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers and I'm approaching 3,500 watch hours, sitting at around 230 subscribers. And believe it or not, over 99% of viewers watching aren't subscribed yet. Hitting that subscribe button helps me keep bringing you the real stories others won't touch. So if you're still here, you're clearly part of the 1% who gets it. Let's grow this together. Thank you for watching, and now back to the video. Just when everyone thought the tension couldn't get any heavier, Chantel returned to the courtroom. Her eyes were red from crying, but her expression had changed. She wasn't there to fall apart, she was there to be heard. In her hand was a small flash drive. She walked straight past Jackie and Chris, ignoring them completely, and handed it directly to the judge. The courtroom watched in confusion as the judge asked what it contained. Chantel explained that she found it while going through old boxes in Jackie's storage, but hadn't realized what it meant until that moment. When the judge played the contents, the room froze. It was an old voicemail from Jackie to Chris. In it, Jackie's voice came through angry and desperate. She warned Chris not to tell anyone the truth about their past and made it clear she would do whatever it took to protect the life she had built. The message didn't sound like a mother trying to hold her family together. It sounded like someone trying to cover her tracks. The fear in her voice wasn't about losing love, it was about losing control. Jackie sat motionless as the audio played. Doug lowered his head, clearly shaken. Chantel fought back tears but kept her focus on the judge. And Chris? He stood silently, showing no reaction at all. The mood in the room shifted. This wasn't just a paternity scandal anymore. It was a full-blown exposure of lies, threats, and years of manipulation. Chantel hadn't just brought evidence, she brought closure. And with that flash drive, she helped confirm what many had suspected all along. The truth had been buried for years, and her mother had worked hard to keep it that way. By this point, the courtroom had already witnessed a level of emotional devastation most people couldn't process. But somehow, things weren't done unraveling. Doug Christie, who had remained mostly silent through the chaos, finally stood up. His expression was unreadable, part hurt, part exhausted. He didn't yell, didn't argue. Instead, he calmly addressed the court with a decision that hit harder than any outburst. He explained that after everything he'd seen, Jackie's letters, the hotel records, the DNA test, and now the voicemail, he no longer believed he could keep pretending. He had lived a life built on someone else's truth, and he was done carrying that weight. Doug then announced he was filing to legally remove himself from Chantel's birth certificate. The courtroom went still. Jackie gasped, completely stunned, trying to argue that Doug had raised Chantel and loved her like his own. But Doug didn't budge. It wasn't about love anymore. It was about honesty, or the years he spent without it. Chantel looked away, unable to even process what had just happened. Her entire family dynamic was shifting before her eyes. She had hoped for answers, but not like this. Jackie appeared desperate to regain control, trying to explain her actions, but the judge quickly stepped in, putting an end to her protest. Her power in that room had vanished. Her image as a strong wife and mother had been stripped away, layer by layer. And as Doug calmly walked out of the room, he didn't look back. For the first time, everyone was forced to face the truth. This wasn't just about one mistake, it was about decades of deception, finally crumbling in a single afternoon. After the courtroom fallout, most people expected Chris Webber to walk away satisfied, but he wasn't done, not even close. Just days after the hearing, reports surfaced that Chris had filed a civil lawsuit against Jackie Christie. The claims are serious. According to insiders, Chris accused her of deliberately spreading false stories about him over the years, using backroom gossip to make him look unstable while hiding their past. This wasn't about the DNA test anymore. Chris believed Jackie had knowingly damaged his reputation on purpose. The lawsuit also included financial damages tied to the years he was kept out of Chantel's life, including what some are calling retroactive responsibility. Chris wasn't asking for emotional closure, he was demanding accountability. Those close to him say this move had been planned for months. He had quietly built his case while Jackie was still on TV pretending nothing was wrong. Jackie's camp didn't release a statement. She stayed quiet, likely on legal advice, but the silence only added fuel to the fire. Fans and bloggers began digging up old clips of Jackie denying the rumors and comparing them to everything that had just come out. Public opinion was shifting fast, and not in her favor. Chris, on the other hand, avoided the spotlight. He didn't talk to the press. He didn't post follow-ups. He let the paperwork speak for itself. And while Jackie faced fallout from the truth, Chris was making it clear. He wasn't just cleaning up a rumor, he was clearing his name for good. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse for Jackie Christie, another problem surfaced, this time from beyond the courtroom. Following Chantel's flash drive and the voicemail played in court, federal investigators reportedly began digging into Jackie's charity foundation. That message, originally meant to scare Chris into silence, had opened the door to something bigger. There were questions now, not just about family secrets, but about money. Allegations surfaced online suggesting that Jackie's foundation had inconsistencies in its records. Some claimed donations were misused. Others hinted at tax documents that didn't add up. While nothing was confirmed publicly, sources close to the investigation said subpoenas had already gone out. Jackie's team stayed quiet. No press releases, no social media, just silence. Online, people speculated that this could be the final blow. What started as a personal scandal had now spilled into legal territory that could affect her financially, professionally, and potentially criminally. Chris Webber, meanwhile, said nothing. He didn't need to. The courtroom had been his only statement, and now, the fallout was doing the rest. Jackie had spent years controlling her image, but now the control is slipping, and fast. Chris Webber didn't just break his silence, he broke the story wide open. What began as years of quiet rumors turned into public proof, a courtroom collapse, and a ripple effect that may haunt Jackie Christie for the rest of her life. In one move, Chris cleared his name and exposed secrets that had been buried for decades. Jackie, once seen as a strong matriarch, is now facing backlash, legal scrutiny, and a family in ruins. Doug has walked away. Chantel is left questioning everything, and VH1 has pulled back with no signs of support. Meanwhile, Chris stays silent, not out of fear, but power. He's done talking, and he didn't have to say another word. Truth is already out there, and it's doing the damage for him. But the story isn't over. The civil lawsuit is moving forward. The federal investigation is still unfolding. And Jackie? She hasn't told her side, at least not yet. So what happens if she does speak? What else could come to light? Because if everything that's already been exposed is just the beginning, then the next chapter may be even more destructive than the last. One thing's certain, Chris Webber walked into the courtroom with an envelope and walked out leaving behind a legacy in ruins. And if this is how the truth started, imagine how it ends.